All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are cracking open a really unique paper from 2014. It takes some serious mathematical modeling and applies it to a problem that's, well, let's just say it's surprisingly personal. How to achieve optimal tip-to-tip efficiency. So let's dive right into the core question the authors set out to answer. They framed a very specific logistical challenge, you could say. The goal is to figure out the absolute maximum rate of stimulation you can get in a large group, and they're looking for a scientific model to solve it. Okay, so before you can figure out how to handle a whole auditorium, you gotta start with just one person, right? You need a model for that. And the authors, they break this down into pure, cold, hard physics and geometry. Now, the entire model, and I mean everything, hinges on this one key idea: the gratification threshold. The easiest way to think about it is like a video game progress bar. You have to fill it up with gratification from what the paper calls jerk actions. And once that bar is full, once it crosses that threshold, a climactic and identifiable stimulation event is triggered. The whole thing is built on 4 core assumptions. First, they just strip away anything subjective. We're talking pure physics here. Second, all those little differences between people, age, experience, you name it, it's all boiled down into that one number, that gratification threshold. Third, and this is a big one, efficiency isn't about how fast you go, it's about the number of actions, or jerks. And finally, how much gratification you get depends on both surface area contact and how long that contact is maintained. And this is the formula that puts it all together. Total gratification is just the number of jerks times these factors for space and time. But here is the absolute key. Those factors, S and T, represent diminishing returns. You know, it's like eating pizza. That first slice is incredible, but by the 10th slice, not so much. That exact same idea applies here, and it's going to be absolutely critical for figuring out the most efficient way to do things. Okay, so that's the model for one person. Now we get to the paper's big innovation for really cranking up the throughput. I mean, a presenter has 2 hands, right? So they could handle 2 people. But the authors ask, can we do even better? Could a single hand stimulate more than one? And based on what they call considerable photographic evidence, the authors are pretty confident. They state that a double jerk, that's 1 hand, 2 shafts, is not just possible, it's efficient. This idea right here becomes the cornerstone of their entire strategy. So this double jerk idea naturally leads to 2 different ways you can set it up. You can go tip to tip, which basically makes 1 extra long shaft. Or you can go shaft to shaft, which makes 1 extra thick shaft. But of course, there's a catch. And this question gets to the central conflict of the whole paper. In the real world, no 2 audience members are built exactly alike, are they? These physical differences, these mismatches, they create huge problems and penalties for efficiency, no matter which technique you use. And here's the thing, these mismatches create totally different headaches depending on the technique. It's a trade-off. If you go tip to tip, a difference in shaft length is your biggest enemy. But if you go shaft to shaft, a difference in girth suddenly becomes a huge problem. And what's really fascinating is that something as simple as different leg lengths, which changes the angle of everything, it penalizes both methods, but it's way, way worse for the shaft to shaft approach. Now, you don't need to memorize this formula, but what's so brilliant here is that they're saying these penalties aren't just some vague problem. Nope. You can actually calculate them with pure geometry, the predictable, and being able to quantify the inefficiency is what opens the door to finding the perfect solution. So all of this brings us to the paper's truly elegant solution. If mismatches are the enemy of efficiency, what do? Well, it's simple. You get rid of the mismatches before you even begin. And folks, this is it. This is the main argument of the whole paper. The secret to peak performance isn't some fancy new technique. It's just good old-fashioned logistics. It's all about how you prepare the audience before you even start. Proper sorting is absolutely everything. So, what does that look like in practice? Well, they lay out this super clear 3-step plan, specifically for the tip-to-tip method. Step 1, you sort everyone by leg length. Why first? Because that creates a level playing field. Literally. It takes care of the biggest penalty right away. Then, and only then, within each of those groups, you sort again by shaft length to fine-tune the pairings. What you're left with is a line of perfectly matched pairs, all ready for efficient adjacent stimulation. But hey, a theory is just a theory until you test it, right? So that's exactly what the authors did. They ran a simulation comparing 3 different presenters. One who uses their full 2-step sorting method, one who only bothers to sort by leg length, and one who just wings it with no sorting at all. And the results? Wow, they are not subtle. A performance rating of 1.0 is the baseline. That's just sticking to the standard, one-at-a-time technique. Presenter A with the full sorting hits a 1.8. That is an 80% improvement. But look at presenter C with no sorting. Their performance is 0.7. That means they are actually 30% less efficient than if they just stuck to the basics. Sorting isn't just a nice little boost, it's the only thing that makes this technique worth doing at all. The authors, they don't exactly mince words when they describe what happens if you ignore their advice. They conclude that as the diversity in the audience goes up, any method without proper sorting demonstrates, and I am quoting directly here, increasingly flaccid performance. So what's the big takeaway from this deep dive into stimulation science? Well, this paper, in all its bizarre brilliance, really teaches us a universal lesson. In any complex system where you're trying to maximize throughput, the most important work happens before you even start. Because as the authors proved, proper sorting is absolutely essential to avoid flaccid performance.